Welcome back, everyone, to another deep dive.
Great to be back.
Today, we're digging into some excerpts from Chapter 4 of Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint. And wow, this one hits hard right from the start.
Oh, absolutely. That opening quote really sets the tone, doesn't it? Yeah. You still don't understand. The army isn't coming to rescue us. And somebody must die. Chilling.
It really is. We've got the text here, just these excerpts, and we're going to unpack this moment where everything just flips. So when you first read this chapter, that quote and everything that follows, what was your gut reaction, your overall feeling?
Impactful is almost an understatement. It felt like a massive escalation. Like the rules didn't just change, the whole game board got thrown out.
Yeah.
It really forces the characters and you as the reader face to face with this incredibly brutal new reality. And it immediately tests Dokja's big advantage, his knowledge,
Right.
It shows you straight away how powerful that knowledge is, but also maybe where its limits are. And, well, the sheer speed of how normal behavior just collapsed under pressure. That was shocking.
The breakdown was incredibly fast. Okay, so before we really get into the weeds, could you give us a quick overview, just the main beats of what happens in these specific parts of Chapter 4?
Sure thing. So it kicks off with Kim Dokja getting this text file. And it's explicitly from the author of Ways of Survival, the novel he literally just finished.
Which is already mind-bending.
Totally.
No.
Running this file gives him what's called an exclusive attribute and opens up a skill slot. So boom, he's suddenly part of the system. But, and this is a big but, he immediately finds out he can't open his attribute window.
Okay, explain that a bit. The attribute window.
Yeah, think of it like your character sheet in a game. It shows your stats, skills, abilities, everything. Not being able to see it. That's like flying completely blind about your own capabilities. A major handicap. The text makes that pretty clear.
So he gets a power, sort of, but has no idea what it actually is or what his stats are.
Exactly. But this new attribute does do something noticeable right away. It makes him read incredibly fast.
Okay, useful.
Very. He uses it immediately to basically speed read the first chunk of Ways of Survival again, looking for details about this train scene, especially with the novel's main character, who's just called He Did in Carriage, 3707. There was fire involved, apparently.
And while he's doing this,
He figures out his own location. He's in Carriage 3807, the one right behind the protagonist.
oh, wow. He's reading about the future happening, like, feet away from him.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And that leads to this other horrible realization based on his memory of the book.
Yeah.
According to the original story, only 2 people survived in his carriage, 3807. He even thinks he knows who they were supposed to be.
So everyone else.
Everyone else, including maybe Usaga sitting next to him, is basically marked for death if the story plays out like he remembers.
That's, yeah. Talk about pressure.
Intense pressure. And right on cue, the scenario kicks in. This young guy, Kim Nam-woon, just explodes into action. He attacks an elderly woman in the carriage.
Just like that.
Just like that. And he justifies it with that chilling line, "The world you have known so far has just ended. A new world requires new laws." And then these holographic screens pop up everywhere, showing similar violence happening all over the country. It reinforces his point. Someone has to die.
So it's kill or be killed, and he's making the first move.
He is. And under that pressure, seeing it happen nationwide, others start to crack. Hanur-Mungo, another passenger, gets drawn in. Even Lee Hyun-sung, the soldier, seems paralyzed, but maybe decided not acting was his choice. Fear basically drives people to join in or just let it happen.
Mob mentality takes over fast.
Frighteningly fast. And Dokja, he's watching all this. At first he's passive. He kind of rationalizes it, thinking, well, the grandmother died in the novel anyway, so watching isn't a sin. It's like he's detached, watching a rerun.
Seeing it as story, not reality yet.
Sort of.
Yeah.
But then Yu-Senga tries to step in, basic human decency kicking in. Dokja physically stops her. He tells her it's too soon, that she'll die if she interferes now because she's not the protagonist. She can't just change the story like that. A really harsh, calculated move based on his knowledge.
Wow. Using his meta-knowledge to enforce the story's cruelty, in a way.
In a way, yeah. To protect her, maybe, but still. Then, bam! An explosion goes off at the front of the carriage. Dokja knows instantly that's he, the protagonist, in 3707, making his move.
The signal.
That's his signal. He decides, okay, now it's time. He makes his move. Seems like he's going to save the grandmother, bumps into Kim Nam-woon, but instead of fighting, he snatches an insect net from a kid.
An insect net. Okay, that's a curveball.
A massive one. It's jarring. He then turns to the crowd, this terrified, bloodthirsty mob, and basically tells them they misunderstood the assignment. He points out the screen didn't say kill a person. It said, kill one or more living things. And he holds up the net, full of grasshoppers.
Oh my God.
Yeah. He says these are valid targets. To prove it, he crushes a grasshopper himself. Instantly gets coins, gets an achievement notification from the system. First kill achieved.
So if the system confirms it works.
It confirms the loophole. Then he just throws the net, releasing the insects. Chaos ensues, but it's chaos focused on bugs. Everyone scrambles to kill a grasshopper to save themselves, diverting the violence away from the humans.
Incredible. Exploiting a technicality only he could have known. What a summary. Okay, let's dive deeper, starting with Dokja himself. This knowledge he has from ways of survival is clearly his main asset, but how does it really shape his thinking and actions here? Where does it help, and maybe where does it fall short or even mess him up?
Right. So his knowledge is, it's almost his entire identity in this new world, isn't it? It's his shield, his weapon, his guide. The helpful aspects are obvious. That reading speed boost from his attribute lets him process the novel's info super fast, which is critical when things are moving this quickly.
Yeah, gotta think on your feet.
Totally. Knowing the carriage numbers, knowing where the protagonist is relative to him, 3707 versus Viewpoint 7, gives him immediate context. But the absolute killer app here is knowing the exact wording of that first scenario. Kill one or more living things.
The loophole.
The loophole. Without that specific phrase memorized from the thousands of chapters he read, he'd be in the same nightmare choice as everyone else.
Yeah.
Kill a person or die. His knowledge literally saves lives there by offering an alternative.
It's like knowing the exact fine print of the apocalypse contract.
Yeah, pretty much. And he also uses his knowledge of the outcome only to survivors originally to make those tough calls, like stopping Usanga. His internal monologue, justifying watching the grandmother's potential death because it happened in the book, shows how his knowledge can create this disturbing detachment at first.
Seeing people as characters almost.
Exactly. Like he's watching a movie he's already seen. But it's not a perfect shield. His knowledge has blind spots, big ones. The most immediate problem is that blocked attribute window.
Right, the character sheet being locked.
Yeah. In this world, knowing your stats, your skills, that's fundamental. He even thinks knowing oneself and one's enemies meant being invincible. But this was a situation where I didn't even know myself. He knows the game to some extent, but he doesn't know his own player character. That's a huge disadvantage compared to others who presumably can see their stats.
It's like having the strategy guide, but no idea what your own character build is.
Perfect analogy.
Huh.
He's guessing about his own abilities within the system. And another thing is, the sheer intensity of reality seems to hit harder than the text did. Like, yeah, he knew the grandmother died in the story, but seeing the mob form, seeing Kim Nam-woon's manipulation, the sheer speed of that moral collapse,
Yeah.
it feels like the experience breaks through his readerly detachment in a way just reading about it didn't.
The visceral horror is different.
It has to be. And maybe the biggest issue, the most significant potential flaw in his knowledge, is that discrepancy we talked about.
The survivor count.
Yeah. He worries about Usanga dying, which implies maybe they both die, but then later, he clearly recalls the novel saying only Lee Hansig and Kim Nam-woon survived carriage, 3807.
That's a direct contradiction.
It is. It's massive. Is his memory faulty? Did the author retcon something he forgot? Or, and this seems more likely, has his presence, maybe Usanga's too, already changed the story? If that's true, his roadmap of the future isn't reliable anymore.
That completely changes his advantage. It's not a script anymore. It's improv based on the script.
Exactly. His knowledge becomes a starting point, a guide, but not an absolute guarantee. He has to react, adapt, maybe even improvise, like with the insects. Which brings us to the other people in the carriage. Dokja's acting based on his knowledge, but others are just reacting raw. Who do you think, based only on these excerpts, had the most significant moment or reveal besides Dokja?
That's tough. They all react intensely. But I guess Kim Nam-woon stands out, right? Just for sheer impact.
I'd agree. In this specific scene, Kim Nam-woon is incredibly significant. He's not just reacting. He's the catalyst. He's the first one to fully embrace and even articulate the New World Order.
He sets the tone, the terrifying tone.
He does. His actions are brutal, decisive. He doesn't hesitate. And that line, the world you have known so far has just ended. A new world requires new laws. It's basically the mission statement for survival in this hellscape. He uses it to justify atrocity. And it works.
Yeah, he convinces people.
He manipulates their fear,
Yeah.
uses the proof from the holographic screens, and pushes them over the edge into participating in the violence. He actively drives the moral breakdown.
He's like the embodiment of the scenario's cruelty.
Pretty much. And the text labels him, remember? a young man who adapted to the world of ways of survival the fastest. That's not just flavor text. It suggests this is him. This is his nature now. It implies he's built for this kind of world and will likely be a major dangerous force moving forward. His speed of adaptation is key.
A chilling indicator of what kind of people might thrive now. What about the others, like Yusanga or Lee Hansung?
Yeah, they provide crucial contrasts. Yusanga is almost the polar opposite of Namwoon here. Her first instinct is pure empathy. Shouldn't we stop this? Even though she's terrified, the text makes a point of her shaking fists. Her fear, she still tries to act based on old-world morality.
The conscience trying to speak up.
Exactly. And Daksha stopping her is this harsh lesson. In this new world, good intentions aren't enough. Acting morally might just get you killed if you're not prepared for the consequences, or, as Daksha puts it, if you're not the protagonist. Based on this, she represents that struggle trying to hold on to humanity when the system actively punishes it.
A flickering candle of the old world.
Well put. Then you have Lee Hansung, the soldier. Daksha's memory pegs him as an original survivor, along with Namwoon. But here, he's frozen, trembling fist, doing nothing while the horror unfolds. The text says maybe he had also made a decision.
A decision not to act.
It seems so. Which is fascinating, right? Contrasted with Namwoon's aggression and his own supposed survival in the original story, it suggests survival isn't always about being the strongest or most proactive. Maybe sometimes it's about endurance, calculation, or choosing not to intervene to preserve yourself. His inaction raises questions about how he survived originally.
A different kind of survival tactic. More passive, perhaps.
Possibly. And finally, Han Yongo. He's maybe the most relatable in a grim way. He starts with that weak protest about respecting elders, a vestige of the old rules.
Right, a flicker of decency.
A flicker. But Namwoon threatens him directly, do you want to die? And poof, he folds instantly, joins the violence. He shows just how fast and easily an average person can ditch their morals when survival is on the line and someone gives them a reason. He's the rapid moral compromise embodied.
A stark picture of human fragility under pressure. Okay, let's shift gears a bit. Web novels like this are famous for planting seeds, details that seem minor but bloom later. Chekhov's guns, you know? Based only on what we've read in this Chapter 4 excerpt, what details are pinging your radar as potentially crucial down the line?
Oh, there are definitely a few things that feel deliberately placed. The big one, we keep coming back to it, is Daksha's logged attribute window.
Yeah, that feels huge.
It does. Why him specifically? Is it a glitch? Is it tied to how he got his power from the file? Is it permanent? Not knowing his own stats is such a fundamental disadvantage in this kind of system. There has to be a narrative reason for it. It feels intentional, not accidental.
It isolates him from the system in a key way.
Exactly. And tied to that is his exclusive attribute itself. Okay, it boosts reading speed. But is that all it does? An attribute from reading a novel file that seems really unique within the world's logic. What are its full capabilities? Is reading itself the power somehow? Its origin and unknown potential make it feel central to whatever makes Daksha special here?
Could be more than just speed reading the manual.
You'd think so, right? Then there's the specific focus on Carriage 3707 and he. Daksha tracking the protagonist's actions, the explosion being his cue. His location behind the protagonist feels symbolic. Is he destined to follow? Or to clean up the mess, or maybe forge a totally different path? That spatial relationship seems loaded with meaning.
Like he's literally in the protagonist's wake.
Could be. And we have to talk again about the survivor discrepancy in 3807. Daksha's memory. Lee Hansung, Kim Namwoon. Reality. Daksha, Yusanga, Lee Hansung, Kim Namwoon, and others, for now, are all still alive post-insect loophole. This contradiction is critical. It directly challenges the idea that Daksha's knowledge is infallible prophecy. It suggests the story can be changed. His presence, his actions, they're already making ripples.
The butterfly effect, or maybe the reader effect, is already happening.
Precisely. It makes his journey way less predictable. Also, Kim Namwoon being called the fastest adapter isn't just a description, it's like a character class or a title. It signals that his core trait is this rapid, ruthless adjustment. It suggests he'll continue to evolve quickly, likely becoming an even bigger threat or force as the scenarios get harder.
He's optimized for this world.
Seems like it.
Yeah.
And lastly, that grasshopper loophole. It worked this time brilliantly. But was it too easy? In a world run by Dokaibi who seem to enjoy suffering, will they allow such technicalities indefinitely? Or will future scenarios have tighter wording? Kill one or more humans, perhaps. Or maybe there's a penalty for taking the easy way out. It raises questions about the system's intelligence and cruelty.
Like, nice trick, reader. Now watch this.
Exactly. Feels like a temporary victory that might have repercussions. All these little details weave a really complex picture just from one chapter's worth of text. So pulling back again, what do we actually learn about the mechanics of this world, the big picture rules and players in this chapter?
Yeah, what are the confirmed facts about this new reality?
We get some solid confirmations. First, the star stream and constellations are real entities. The line constellations listening in confirms they're observing, maybe judging, maybe influencing events. They're a powerful, unseen audience at the very least.
The cosmic voyeurs.
Something like that. Second, the Dokaibi are the on-the-ground administrators. They set the scenarios, what the Dokaibi calls the first murder, display the conditions, kill one or more living things, enforce time limits, 5 minutes, and seemingly immediate rewards. They are the immediate agents of the system's will.
The GM's running the death game.
Pretty much. This confirms scenarios are the core structure. Time tasks with life or death stakes. Succeed, you might get rewarded. Fail, everyone dies. Simple, brutal logic. And success brings rewards. Coins, 100 coins earned. Add achievements, first kill achievement. So there's a clear system of progression and currency, even if we don't know the full value or use yet.
A gamified apocalypse.
Definitely has that feel. We also get confirmation that attributes and skills are standard. All survivors had exclusive attribute and skills, reinforcing the RPG elements, even with Dokja's window issue. And the holographic screens aren't just local displays. They show nationwide carnage, live video of people dying all over the country. This emphasizes the global scale and makes it clear escape isn't simple. It's everywhere.
No hiding from this reality.
Nope. And the absolute bedrock reveal, the most fundamental piece of world building here. The world is ways of survival. The novel is reality now. That's the core premise, the source of Dokja's power and his problem.
It makes everything terrifyingly literal. Okay, with all that laid out, the characters, the rules, the inconsistencies, the potential foreshadowing, let's get speculative. Based only on what's in this Chapter 4 excerpts, what are some plausible theories we can cook up? What might happen next, or what could be the hidden mechanics?
All right, theory time. Strictly based on this text, theory 1. Dokja's attribute is meta-narrative. Given it came from the novel file, blocks his normal window, and boosts reading. Maybe his exclusive attribute isn't about strength or magic, but about understanding the story itself. His power could be interacting with the world as a narrative, maybe perceiving plot points or character roles in a way others can't. The blocked window could be because his interface is, like, the novel itself, not the standard system UI.
His power is literally omniscient reader's viewpoint.
Could be something that literal, yeah. Theory 2. The story is actively diverging because of Dokja. We keep hitting that survivor discrepancy. Lee Hun-sung and Namwoon were supposed to be the only survivors of 3807. But Dokja's there, Yusanga's there, and his insect plan saved others, including the grandmother, for now. This isn't just a minor change, it's a fundamental break from the original plot he remembers. It strongly implies his presence and choices are actively rewriting the future. The novel is no longer a fixed path.
He's not just reading, he's editing.
That's a good way to put it. Theory 3. The easy loophole will backfire. Killing insects felt clever, almost like cheating the system's grim intention. Given the cruelty implied by the scenarios and the observing entities, Dokaibi constellations, it feels unlikely they'll just let that slide repeatedly. Maybe the next scenario will specifically require killing humans, or maybe there's a hidden penalty for taking the path of least resistance, like fewer rewards or attracting negative attention from certain constellations who prefer bloodier entertainment.
The system adapts to close exploits. Makes sense.
It feels plausible in this kind of world. And theory 4. The protagonist, he, took the hard path. The explosion in 3707 happened right when Dokja acted, and it's linked to he's action involving fire from the novel. It seems highly probable that the original protagonist did fulfill the scenario by killing a person, following the novel's original brutal trajectory. This immediately sets up a contrast. The protagonist takes the direct, perhaps intended violent path, while Dokja immediately seeks and finds an alternative, less bloody route. Their approaches diverge from the very first scenario.
2 different ways to survive, established right away. These are great theories, grounded right in the text we have. Okay, wrapping up our deep dive into Chapter 4. If you had to pick just one quote from these excerpts that really nails a critical theme or marks the turning point, what would it be?
Tough choice. Dokja's internal thoughts about waiting for the right moment are significant too. But I think I have to go back to Kim Nam-woon, that line. The world you have known so far has just ended. A new world requires new laws.
Yeah, that one sticks with you.
It really does. It's the declaration of the apocalypse. It instantly dismisses all previous morality, all societal structure. It's the justification for the horror, the explanation for why people are suddenly capable of these things. It perfectly encapsulates the brutal shift in reality and the core conflict everyone's facing. Adapt by abandoning the old ways, or perish. It sets the stakes immediately.
It's the harsh truth of this new world, spoken plainly. Couldn't agree more. Well, thank you for navigating us through that incredibly intense and revealing chapter. Some heavy stuff in there.
Absolutely. A lot to unpack.
And a massive thank you to you, listener, for joining our deep dive today. Think about it, those choices made in the heat of the moment in that train carriage. The fear pushing people to violence, the spark of old morality trying to resist, Dokcha's calculated move based on knowledge others didn't have, the rapid crumbling of decency. If you were there, seeing those screens, hearing Namwoon's words, what would you have done? Could you have found that loophole, or would the new laws have taken hold? Definitely something to ponder as you continue your own exploration of this story. We've barely scratched the surface of what this chapter sets in motion.